Let's go, guys. Oh, dude, guys, I'm so stoked for this episode because it is episode 8. And obviously, you guys already know that this is the TruYou Unfiltered podcast where we go into guiding everything and navigating life's challenges, achieving a holistic well being. We offer insights on overcoming obstacles, emotional, spiritual, financial, and physical aspects. We simplify that process of skill development, helping you reach your goals. Additionally, we provide practical advice on balancing family life while pursuing your growth in business, fitness, mental well-being. Join us for some valuable tips to enhance our various facets of life's journey with our guest, Mr. Evan Dawson. As the founder of Subject Matter Expert Academy, Evan is on a mission to rescue retail employees from their 9-to-5 jobs by teaching them a particular set of online skills. His journey is a powerful reminder that anyone can break free from the traditional work constraints and build a successful online career. So in this episode, From Retail to Resilience, Empowering Employees with Online Skills, as Evan shares his expertise and insights on how anyone can transform their career and life by acquiring new skills. His story and strategies will inspire you to take control of your professional future and embrace new opportunities. What's going on, my man? Good to have you on
What's
here.
going on, Kyle?
Yeah, I've
Honored to
been
be here.
looking
Excited.
forward to this episode so much because that is something that we kind of have in common a little bit. So before I even got into like the digital side of things, it was retail. But talk to us about where you started as far as what was your first job, but that how did you build into Target? I know like that was the first. That was like your last job, right?
Yeah, I was retail for over 20 years of my life. My first job ever was at 15. It was the earliest I could get a job, and it was McDonald's. It was McDonald's in, uh, it was near Charlotte, North Carolina, where I lived. And it was a fun summer job. It was a fun job just to make some money. I had one of my neighbors was my friend Will. I remember working in the drive-through together. It was just a fun time. Hard work, but I loved it, and it was able to provide me any sort of play money I needed, gas money. Getting my first vehicle came about a year after that, so you got to have that gas money. And then one of my favorite jobs ever was my second job at a movie theater. It was Movies at the Lake in Cornelius, North Carolina. Man, I did that for 2 summers while I was in school. Amazing. And then I just continued to do different retail jobs. Retail was in my blood. My dad did retail my entire life. My grandfather did
I didn't know
grocery
that.
stores. Oh yeah. Yeah. My whole side, both sides of the family were in retail in some way, shape, or form. And so I grew up seeing it, and that was what I saw being a provider for a family to me, because it's all I saw modeled was retail. So that's what I did. And I did that for many, many years. When I first got married, when we started having kids, I was at Target, and I rose through the ranks, from just a team member, senior team leader, to an executive with that company. And I was looking back at some pictures the other day. I used to say I bleed red and khaki. I thought that was just a really cool saying, because that's what everybody wears at Target. It's red and khaki.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I loved that job. There was so many good team members. Had fun, met a lot of people, learned a lot of just life skills with that company. They're really good at training their team members. And the downside was the time suck. Not being
Okay.
able to spend time with my young family, and it kept getting worse. And one of the downsides of being good at your job is you're going to, and I've heard this before, I'm not sure who coined this, but you're basically going to excel and be promoted to the point where you are ineffective. And a lot of that happens because if you're good at something, people like to promote you to that next level, but you've never done that next level before. And so then you spend a lot of time trying to get really good at that level, and it just sucks all the time from everything else in your life. Then you get to that next level, and it's the same thing over and over and over. And all you end up doing, in my mind, is just spinning your wheels. You're not making that much more money to rise. And the reason I say that, even if you're making $50,000, and then you rise to $75,000. Well, we're human. We all do the same stuff. We upgrade our cars, we upgrade our houses, and now we're still living paycheck to paycheck, no matter how much you're making. And I would see, the store managers, doing about 100K. Then you'd have the district managers doing 250K. And I just thought those numbers were just astronomical. Like, oh gosh, I'll never get to that point. I just had this weird thought of these big numbers. And, not to fast forward too quick here, but my first full year doing digital marketing was over 400K. It's kind of almost like embarrassing to say that, in public, because when I grew up, you don't talk about money. But when I started hitting those numbers where most of it was profit, I'm like, this is nuts. So it really helped me. Long story short, I was able to go from a retail employee to a full-time business owner, and sky's the limit now. I get to do some really cool stuff now that I can spend as much time with my family as I want to.
So like from helping in the drive-throughs to driving traffic, like to businesses, like that, we could have named that. That'd have been sweet. Oh man. But that's kind of cool. And like why I think about that first is like just slowing down just a tad. It's like my first couple gigs, as where I like my very first job ever was actually busing at a Ponderosa buffet. I don't know if you all have Ponderosas over there or whatever, but man, out of all the gigs to get to be a busser, I don't even know why I chose a buffet restaurant. That's just ridiculous because it never ends, right? It's a buffet.
Yeah, and you got to get a new plate every time, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly. And I would have an hourly thing and then share tips with like the waiters and waitresses. And I was so stoked because I'd get cash that day and all that to get that gas money you were talking about and to be able to afford that car. Like I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I get cash today. But then, anyways, that's something that I know we share. And, kind of going through like the retail side of things, there are a lot of exciting opportunities there because of the brands that they've built, I think. But a lot of times, like, it feels like a lot of dead ends unless you continue to rise up the ranks like you did. But then even then, you do kind of it's a revolving wheel. And like during that time, I know, like, what did that family life look like too? Because you said that was a whole process as well. There's always like a purpose tied to making a quick little change, right? So for people who are, looking at Subject Matter Academy, for example, and they're looking to skill up and to get out of that, there's always like that moment where, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of this. It's time for a change. Like, can you go into like what that looks like? I know we've had some deep convos in the past off of this, but like, what did that look like with you and Ashley, right?
Yep. Yeah. My wife, Ashley, she's such a blessing. She's a major reason why we are able to do what we're doing. We're going to Saipan this coming month, the entire month. And she taught there for 3 years. She taught English there, and she's always wanted to take me to show me. And now our kids need to take them. So very, very cool. But I remember the feeling of desperation. I know that's a strong word. It's a bold word to use here, but that's what I felt. Okay. I was making decent money at Target. I had a good job. I was able to provide for my family. I feel like that is my duty as a husband and a father. But I felt like I was meant for more. Like I was created for more. Nothing against Target. I wanted to do different things with my life than retail. And the desperation came because Target's headquarters is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. My wife, I knew that she did not want to go there. And so I knew early on, like we get one life to live, right? And I had hitched my horse to Target 100%. But I knew that I was going to hit a ceiling at some point where I couldn't break above it because she didn't want to move to Minneapolis. I wasn't going to force her to move there. I watched my dad. He got a wild like COO position with a company in New York City. He was thrilled, right? And he takes my mom up there, and I was a young adult at the time, and she just did not like the city at all. So I watched firsthand how little by little my mom would like come home once a month to visit us kids. I got a brother and sister. We were all in Florida. They were in New York City because of my dad's job. And then it got more frequent. She was coming home, every other weekend to see us. And then it was like 2 weeks in New York, 1 week home. And then it was 2 weeks home, 1 week in New York. My dad, at a certain point, he's just like, time out. It's like, what the heck? He's like, I didn't work so hard in my life just to be by myself at the top of the world in New York City. So he's like, I'm done. He's like, I'm retiring. It's not worth it. So I saw where my life was headed, and I couldn't even have that opportunity to do that top level of target because I knew my whole wife's family is here in Tennessee. She's like, I'm not, and in Alabama as well. She's like, I'm not moving there. And I'm like, all right, I get it. I don't want to go. Honestly, I didn't want to move where it was super cold either. So,
and I'm from there, right? So I totally know exactly what you're talking about, guys. We're talking about 30 below zero during the winter, and it's dry too. So you're gonna get your lips chapped. The ice, the snow is next level, guys. Like if you're from Minnesota, like you guys already know. But if you've never been there, yeah, that's the thing. But yeah, keep going. This is awesome.
So I felt I felt trapped. I felt this inner desperation knowing that I guess this is it. I'll spend as much time with my family as I can. But honestly, I was a key holder at my target. I was the closest one I was at a super target in Birmingham, Alabama. And I mean, if you're a key holder, 2, 3 a.m., if a fridge goes out, you're the one getting the call. So like I was there constantly, 12-hour days. Sometimes when you get into Q4 and you're doing Black Friday setup, you're doing overnights. It was a lot. It was a lot mentally. It was a lot physically. It was just a slow burn, to where I was feeling burnout from my job. I was feeling like I was missing out on important milestones and things with my kids. And I felt like no matter how well I did at that job, I could never do the top positions that I would want because we're not moving to Minnesota. So I just felt this like, what the heck am I supposed to be doing with my life? And then digital marketing one day just reared its head. A lot of people says reared its ugly head, reared its beautiful head to me because it was a doorway for me to get out. I didn't know if it would work. I had no clue about doing online marketing, any of that stuff. And man, that just, it made all the difference in my life. Within 18 months, I was able to completely replace my income and then some from retail and leave forever and then do this full time. And that was back in, late 2019, early 2020, which was a wild time. That's, you got the pandemic coming around the corner that nobody saw coming. And it was such a interesting time for me to do this full time because when the pandemic happened, a lot of people were forced home, forced to learn new skills. And I was right there with them learning how to do digital marketing, lots of competition. And what I found was there's no way to saturate the internet. You can't do it. Every single day, there's millions of people coming online and they're posting and they're learning about things and they're buying things. The e-commerce is massive, right? And it's not going anywhere. But even bigger than that right now, the trajectory of online learning and info marketing and people wanting to learn new skills is at an all-time high, and it's just going to get even more. And so I have, I give God all the credit for this, putting me in the right place at the right time. I've put myself in the crosshairs of the biggest shift in industry and economics in the world, right? As far as it's ever been, this is where you want to be doing online, doing digital marketing. It's just going to get bigger, right? We're moving away from the traditional forms of marketing. We've been doing it for years, but now because of technology, it's moving at such a fast rate. I read something the other day that our knowledge base as just a people, it doubles every 10 months.
Like, and you're saying, like, what do you mean by that? Like knowledge base, right? So how much we can learn in a period of time and like the amount of, or
how quickly we learn. Yeah, it used to take decades. If you go back a couple centuries, it would take decades for the knowledge to double. Now it takes less than a year. And it's just with AI, it's going to get faster and faster and faster. Yeah, like I want to ride that wave, and we're riding it. You and I both, we do digital marketing. We're riding that wave, and we're seeing just massive amounts of people wanting to learn how to do what we do. And you and I both, we don't just teach it, we do it. And it took me about 4 years of doing this full time to where I felt comfortable teaching other people, because I didn't want to be that guy. Like, oh, he doesn't, he couldn't come as a marketer.
I was the same way, bro. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, heck no, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm just going to stay with my clients, make money. But then I couldn't help it because everybody kept asking me. People in my life would see the house and the car, just the things that I was doing. They're like, "What are you doing now? Like, don't you work at Target?" And I'm like, "No, not anymore." I was like, I do my own thing. And like, well, tell me about that. Like, how can I do that too? And I started seeing this need from people. And, I won't take on anybody to coach. I'm looking for people that are feeling stuck like I was in a decent job, like a career that they spent years cultivating, getting really good at, but they feel stuck. And they're like, and for many of my coaching students, they're able to make a side income doing this side thing. I'm not saying everybody has to completely leave what they're doing. Some people love their jobs. They've worked hard to get where they are. They don't want to leave their job, but look at inflation. Like right now, even if they're making decent money, well, decent money 2 years ago, today is like paycheck to paycheck. If you're not going into debt because of credit cards, because everything's so expensive. You go to the gas pump, you go to the grocery store, everything's astronomical now. So people are looking for ways to supplement their income.
That feeling of control.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to just be you dancing on TikTok, right? Like you don't have to be an influencer yourself. What we teach is we get you in between. I'm teaching people how to be middlemen. That's what I learned. I am between small businesses and influencers and the people they're looking to reach. I help make that connection, and I'm paid very well for that because that's a skill set that is in high demand in our market.
Well, like you brought up skill sets, man, and we're talking about all this online stuff, right? And some people think it's this mythical thing, and the reality, what I've found out a lot of times is there's a lot of different skill sets that people learn, outside of the business of digital marketing. Like I feel like when they're thinking about even coming into this world, it's not necessarily, you're not really starting from nothing. And something that really held me back as well was like, I need to learn how to do not just the marketing stuff, but actually how to run a business in itself. And what I like about where people, they're in like an actual career, and you've rose up into the target area, and there's like different pieces you learn with that. And even with whether you're a healthcare worker, engineer, heck, even truck drivers, like we know that crowd. We've helped out a lot of people in that area transfer their skills outside into the online world. And my question is like, what were the skill sets that you learned to help grow faster? Because like you said, in 1 year you were hitting mid 6 figures, right? And so it's like, okay, learning how to run an ad, for example, online for someone, or creating a website for someone, right? That's just one piece of it. That's not going to take you there. What were the things that really took you to where you could make that happen?
That's a great question.
And I say make that happen, by the way, just to kind of give clarity to the people who are watching, because I ask a lot of loaded questions. So I like to slow down a little bit. And to make you feel, one, unstuck, two, be there with your family, but still be able to run a successful business. We'll get into those plaques we have behind you here in a minute, and what those mean for people who've never seen those. But that first jump into the 6 figures, what took you there?
So skill set was just one. I believe in the power of three. There's so many things in our lives that come in threes. Well, for me, it was mindset, skill set, and tool set. Maybe you've heard that before. I couldn't just learn the skills, but not learn how to use the different online tools and software to perform those strategies, like the skills that I'm learning. I also, having the skills and learning how to use the tools without the proper mindset, you're never going to get anywhere. You're going to spin your wheels because you're just going to be constantly in a scarcity mindset, doubting yourself, fearful, all those things. I had to learn all three at the same time. And I've evolved over the last 5-6 years of doing this, where each one of those pillars, mindset, skill set, tool set, I'm leveling up on all three of them because I'm making a conscious effort to level up on all three of them.
Okay.
I'm always looking at my morning routine. I'm trying to tweak my daily routines. I'm keeping myself, spiritually strong. Like this morning, every Wednesday morning, I'm at 6:30 at a coffee shop with some guys for a Bible study. Like I'm keeping my spiritual wits sharp about me. That's mindset as well. And then skill sets, I'm always jumping on and learning new strategies. That there's what worked 5 years ago. This is going to fly in the face of what a lot of people are saying. What worked 5 years ago does still work today online. If you make a simple little two-step funnel where somebody has to go to a landing page, put their info in, then they go to the thank you page and they get some emails, that still works very well to this day. But there's a next level of strategy that I'm teaching people how to use now, where there's several different types of funnels. No way we have the time to get into all those today, but you got squeeze funnels, you got reverse squeeze funnels, you got survey funnels, you got webinar funnels, you got all these different things that you can implement for clients. And which one's going to work the best? Well, you don't know until you split test them, right? And so learning those skills is very important. And then you can't have the skills without the tools. So those go hand in hand. But working with myself and other mentors on all three of those has made it possible for me to do what I'm doing full time.
Yeah, and real quick, touch on a little bit on mindset, because I understand. Okay, it's like, hey guys, like he just named a whole bunch of industry topics, and to simplify that for people as well, like, 'cause I always joke around, like a guy who had cauliflower ears does all that stuff. I always like I didn't think I was ever gonna actually do all that marketing stuff and actually understand it. Like, who am I, right? And so funnels are simply, it's like someone basically seeing a sign, like an ad online would be seeing a sign on the side of the road for, we'll say, Buc-ee's. I got a daughter, she loves Buc-ee's, dude. She'll flip out on Buc-ee's. So that's getting the attention.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be like an
We
ad
can't drive. We can't go to Florida on like road trips and not stop at least one or two Buc-ee's. Yeah, it's
dude,
ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't understand the thing, but apparently you do. I'm like, no, guys, you all can go into Buc-ee's. I'll use my restroom. I'll get the snacks. But anyways, not to tie on too deep into that, but yeah, Buc-ee's. You'll see an ad or a billboard. Oh, X amount of miles. X amount of miles. Well, what they're doing to you right there is sending you, not just getting your attention, but focusing on one type of way to get to their business. And that's what those funnels are. So you have different types of those. So once they walk in, right, people buy stuff like at the, like we were just saying. And just to kind of, if you've never heard the term funnel before or anything like that learning that skill set of understanding how to build one. So understanding how to build the house, right, the blueprint. But then you need the hammer, the nails, the 2x4s, all that jazz. So that's what Subject Matter Academy helps out with overall. Now, with the mindset stuff, what are some things transferring from, being an employee and going into business owner? What does that look like in Subject Matter Academy and in your own journey as well? Because I know I had to make that shift too. But I think coming from you would be really, really powerful.
Talking about mindset, everybody's got their own take on it. And there's a lot of, quote unquote gurus out there that will teach you lots of different things on mindset. I'm not going to claim to be a guru, but what I do know at a very basic level is there is scarcity and there is abundance. And every single one of us, we wake up right smack dab in the middle every day, and we have to make decisions in our life. We have to make choices that push us towards abundance, because it's an uneven slope. This world is set up in a way to where when you wake up in the middle, gravity is going to take you down to scarcity. So if you don't do anything, eventually scarcity is going to come out in your words. Another retail store I used to work at was a bookstore in my 20s, and it was in Florida, great Christian bookstore. And the motto of the store was, what goes into a mind comes out in a life. And you see that with people, and their words betray them. So somebody that is operating out of a scarcity mindset is going to procrastinate. They're going to give excuses. They're going to say things like, I'll never figure this out. I'll never have that much money. That I'm not tech savvy. All this kind of phrases that it's almost self-fulfilling prophecy. They're speaking these negative things over their life. Well, flip it to abundance. I am a success. I got this. Yeah, it's tough, but I'm going to figure it out. This person is going to buy from me. They just don't know it yet, right? Like, the interesting thing to me is that both of those things, the scarcity and abundance, they both live in all of our brains, right? Both of those things. It's up to us to we have one or two things. You asked me about mindset. We have the ability every single day to be reactive to it. Okay, that's what I would call chaos, just basically letting the day happen to you. Whatever happens is going to happen. Well, that's going to kick you real quick into scarcity mindset. Or you can have a plan of attack for the day and you can attack the day. You can be ready for it before it happens. You can have a plan, right? That is being proactive. So there's reactive and there's proactive. Reactive is scarcity mindset in its purest form. Proactive is going to get you up into that abundance, and it's every single day. Last example here is I used to be what I would call a chronic snoozer. In order to make it to my store on time, I would have to wake up at 5:30 back when I worked retail. I would set my alarm clock at 4:30. Okay. Not so that I had a full hour to be productive and to do all sorts of cool stuff. I would set it an hour early just so I could hit the snooze button for an hour, y'all. Like that's 5 different times I'm hitting that 10-minute snooze. That is terrible for your brain, right? I mean, it's horrible. So now, even today, this is 6 years later now of doing different things in the morning. My morning routine, I share that with my students, everybody I'm coaching. I share all my priorities and my routines and my daily stuff. But I would not put this alarm clock, which is my phone, I would not put this next to me in the morning. Why? Because if I have an alarm, what's my temptation? Okay, I'm not perfect. I'm still human, right? My temptation is still to go back to what I used to do for over 10 years of my life, probably, is hit the snooze button. So I put it across the room. So I have to get my butt out of bed, which my wife is happy about. So I don't have the alarm go off. And what I'll tell you is when you do things over and over and over, these routines, your mind is super smart. Okay. My grandfather, I remember I used to think he was a robot. Like when I was really young, I remember him telling me, I don't need an alarm clock. I'm like, why? He's like, well, I can tell my mind exactly what minute I want to wake up, and I will wake up to the minute. And I'm like, wow, pop, you're a robot. Like that's not normal. Well, your brain, what do we use? 10% of it? We got 90% of this thing up here that we don't even tap into. Like it's super powerful. So 9 out of 10 days, I don't even need my alarm clock. I just wake up naturally now because I've been doing this so long. There's so many things that you can train yourself to do that you don't think you're probably capable of. And that's where mindset comes in. But, we could take 24 hours straight talking about mindset. There's so much that goes into it.
Well, yeah, like what I was thinking about too is just, I mean, like there are a lot of people talk about Jim Rohn, right? When it comes down to like performance and goal setting and stuff like that. And he always says, like, go ahead and make a goal to become a millionaire, because it's like about the person you're going to become during that process. And another thought kind of came to mind as well as when you were explaining that, it's like the whole alignment thing. When you feel like you're kind of forcing something, there's something kind of off there as well. And it's like when you're going to that job, right? There's a misalignment, like you talked about, for your own self with your own family. You're like, dude, like for me to get to the next level, I have to move my whole entire family. And if I were to do that, it would feel so forced because it's not like a thing everyone wants to do. So now you're able to find a solution rather than just being stuck in the muck and just having that victimized side of things. And like that basically there's no way out. And there's just so much subtle messages, propaganda, all the things that you see on TV, like a lot of it, it's all around us, guys. So it's really important that you do get that training in. And I love what you did too, man. You go up every Wednesday, right? Go into a coffee shop, get that spiritual work in. Dude, that's what's up. I just joined a men's challenge with our church, so I'll let you know, keep you posted on how that goes. It's like every Thursday, or it starts like in a mid-August or something like that. But I do that, and I think about doing that because I know we have this online stuff too to be around successful people as well, but sometimes that in-person stuff definitely does help.
Sure. It's
powerful. So I wanted to take a second and commend you with that. I think that's pretty awesome. So
yeah, sidebar real quick off of that. If anybody's looking, if men in particular, if they're watching this or listening to this and they're looking for a really good book, if they've never read it, it's called Wild at Heart by John Eldredge. Amazing book. That book changed my life the first time I read it.
What's it called? I'll share my screen and just show them. What's it called? Wild at Heart?
Yep. Wild at Heart. John Eldredge. Amazing book. There's other books on mindset and things. There's Think and Grow Rich. There's The Greatest Salesman in the World. There's a bunch of books that I would talk about for sales and marketing, but man, uh, Wild at Heart is very, very good.
Oh heck yeah! And they have a
Yeah,
whole
that's
bunch of
it.
different options.
Yeah, you can get it on Audible. You can get it
Who
anywhere.
who gave this to you,
Oh
or did
man,
you just stumble upon it?
honestly, that's the one that I read. That's the original cover. I
This one?
probably read it back in maybe 2002, three, the first time. Life changing.
I love it. Okay, yeah, we get a lot of listeners on here too that are like 20, anywhere between 25 to about 40. So it's like guess what?
Oh,
What is that?
perfect.
15
I
years.
can't think
So
of a better book for that age group than Wild at Heart.
I love it. Cool. Yeah, I've been into, obviously I got a couple books back here, but that's awesome. But like, so there's a lot of different skill set, mindset, tool set. I like that because we also had an episode earlier. What his main thing was, he was talking about how he gets paid to speak. That's his main thing. He'll
Yeah.
help people out with that, and he was talking about the power of one. And the power of one, the one offer, one service, one result, to grow the business side, but also like that power of your message. And something that came to mind off of that power, the power of your message, by sharing your message, making basically your message. It's like you're kind of taking almost kind of that approach with making whoever's stuck in the retail side of things, and they're able to basically, that's like their solution to take hold and scale up and get out of that rat race. And you were talking about how info products and things of that nature are like they're growing. People are buying things in that nature, and why do you think that is? Is it because people are becoming more aware, or how are people understanding, hey, I'm really good at this thing and I want to sell it?
I think it's both. I think it's a lot easier for people to get their hands on knowledge now than ever before. Whereas before you would have to go buy a book from a library, right? Well, now we got the internet, and now we not only have the internet and we have these digital books, but we also have very easy ways to communicate in a sequential way. So somebody that's wanting to learn something, can they learn it on YouTube? Sure. But good luck learning it from somebody that is credible in a sequence that is going to teach you A to Z. That's what is missing on some of these search platforms. You can go to YouTube, you can learn how to anything from cultivate a garden to build a car engine, right? But having the A to Z, that's when people are willing to pay. They're going to pay to do it faster, to learn from someone to help them with the accountability piece. A lot of courses out there, you watch them, but what happens when you have questions? That's why most people don't finish courses, because they get through the first couple of videos, they got questions, there's nobody around to answer them. They're like, all right, you know what?
Yeah.
I don't really understand this. I'm just going to jump to the next thing. So that's, Subject Matter Expert Academy. Part of the reason for a success is it's a hybrid approach. We've got the videos to teach you the mindset, skill set, and tool set, but then you have the coaching. It's going to help people to make sure they're doing it right, in the right order. And then the mindset is huge when it comes to sales. You can learn sales scripts till you're blue in the face. If your mindset is not in abundance, good luck closing the deals, right? They're going to sense that desperation in you of, oh, I got to make this sale. This one has to come. I got all these bills piling up. No, you got to get rid of that.
And why is that?
So many things that we could, there's so many different paths we could go right now, Kyle. Where do you want to take this?
Oh my God. I know. Well, first, I think a great place would be just building off of what is a subject matter expert. And that way, I believe if people can understand what that is, then reverse engineering how they can potentially take their current situation and being in retail and applying it to subject matter expert academy, right? So what is a subject matter expert? When I met you, that was something I was like, dude, that is genius. But go about your journey. What did that look like? And again, what is a subject matter expert?
So I stumbled upon this. I really did. When I learned digital marketing originally, it was to help brick and mortar service-based businesses find new clients and patients and customers. Think CrossFit gym. That was my first client ever. Chiropractors, I had several of them. Realtors. You're helping to bridge that gap between, where they are, where they want to be, and you're helping connect them with their potential clients. Well, I did that for a while, and I'm like, this is great. It's working. I thought that's all I would ever do. And then one day I was in a forum. I was in an online, I think it was a Facebook group. And I see this guy ask a simple question. Who can help us build a funnel to sell our stock trading course? I can't describe what I felt when I read that. It was instant, just huge light bulb moment for me, an aha moment, because I had only ever thought I could use my digital marketing skills to help small brick and mortar businesses find clients in a local market. Well, when I was 5, maybe 6 years old, that same grandfather that told me that he could just tell his mind when to wake up, he was an avid stock trader. He was an investor. And his eyesight was failing him. And so he would write down stock symbols on a simple old piece of paper. He would give them to me. I would go sit in front of the TV, not too close. He wouldn't let me sit too close, right? Because that would hurt my eyes. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching the ticker tape go across the bottom of the screen. I had no idea what I was looking at. I just knew that when I saw IBM, for instance, I would write the price down after IBM. And I didn't even know it was a price. It was just write the numbers that you see, Evan, after these symbols. He would just give me all the stock symbols. He just wanted to know where the price was. And it was something fun for us to do, together. Well, ever since then, I've been enamored with the stock market and investing. When I turned 18, I was working at that movie theater. Every paycheck went into a Scottrade account. I don't even know if Scottrade's around anymore. That's an early investor firm, right? So every paycheck went in, I would lose it every single time. I would lose all my money trying to trade these stocks. I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I loved doing it. I love looking at the charts and all
figure it out. Yeah, like this one's gonna make it big. Let's go.
Yeah, so I've always traded. I've always invested. I've gotten better at it now. Now I do option selling and different strategies. But when I saw that person ask that question, I'm like, oh my goodness, why didn't I think of that? I would never have thought of that. I can use my marketing skills to help traders that have courses and programs to teach other people how to trade better. I can connect them with the audience. Oh, and by the way, the entire world wants to know that knowledge. So I don't just have to stick with one little town that chiropractor's in. I can advertise on the internet for the world, right? And get the people that are most likely to take action and want to learn from a stock trader. So I reached out to this guy. Again, mindset was strong, confidence level was strong, and I love that industry. I was passionate about it. So I was the first person that DM'd this guy. I know because I saw that post and it was written like 3 minutes ago. Nobody had commented. Oh my gosh, like I'm not even going to comment. I DM'd this guy and I'm like, I can definitely help you with this. Let's jump on a quick call. So we jump on a call and I start talking to him about what I'm going to do, build this funnel for him, all this stuff. And he was just kind of like, okay, well, it might work, it might not work. He's like, well, we'll give you some money, try it out. So he paid me $1,500 to build this thing out. And he only gave me $500 in ad spend to see what I could do with it, which I thought was odd for him to pay me more to build it than the ad spend he gave me. But I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll in my head, I'm like, I'm glad he didn't know this, but I'm thinking I would do this for free. Like, this is going to be super fun. So I built this funnel out, and within 2 weeks, I turned the $500 ad spend into over $8,000 selling their program.
No, dude, that's insane.
Now I didn't know these guys were they were like back then compared to me, like they were heavy rollers, like they were big time, right? And I'm like, I don't know if 8,000 is enough for them. I don't know what they were expecting, right? He just said, see what you can do with this $500. So I go back to him. They get on a call with me after that campaign was done. He said, hey, because it was a specific date that they wanted to pitch this thing. And he's like, you know what? Good job. Thanks. He wasn't like thrilled. It wasn't huge, money for them. And he's like, but would you want to do, more full time with us? Would you want to come on, do anything more full time? In my head, again, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, like that's a dream come true. I would do this for like next to nothing. And they're like, listen, he's like, we'll give you 30% of whatever you can sell. He's like, as long as it's selling, we'll give you as much ad spend as you want. And I'm like, game on.
Say less.
So I'm good at this because I'm talking to myself. If I'm writing out an email sequence to people that opt in for these, trading lead magnets, and apologies, I'm going over people's head here with verbiage, but I'm really good at writing that because I'm speaking to myself as a trader. And so I know the kind of struggles that I had, the pain points I would feel trading. I'm just writing those pain points in and how this program could help those people. And I went through the program. It was phenomenal, like next level. I'm like, gosh, I wish I had this when I was 18. That would have made all the
Right?
difference. I probably would have made millions trading. Might not be doing this now, right? So I
Yeah.
start just promoting this stuff for these guys. In the first full month, my commission check was $17,000. That was the first commission check I ever got from what I would consider a subject matter expert. Their subject matter was trading, right? And they were
Okay, so they
experts
were
at it.
really good at trading.
Yeah. So now I
Yeah.
connect subject matter experts in lots of different industries to the general population, and I target the people most likely to be interested in that thing. And my model now, my business model, is not necessarily retainer anymore like it was with small businesses. Now it's rev share. I want the commissions, right? Because I can make as much as I want to make when they're willing to put the money into the ad spend, which most of these influencers are, these subject matter experts. The funny thing there was the there was a co-founder group for the stock trading firm, and the co-founder, not the one that hired me, but the other one, wanted to talk to me. He's like, "What? Like, I want to talk to this guy. Like, he's putting up some decent numbers for month one."
He's making me a
And
lot
it
of
was
money. I want
so
to know
funny.
what's going on, bro.
It was so funny. He's like, "Listen," he's like, "great job on whatever it is that you're doing. It's clearly working." He's like, "However," he's like, "we can't keep paying you 30%." And I'm like, what? Because I'm thinking, shoot, I'm going to take that, reinvest it. I'm going to just, make 100 grand next month. He's like,
Yeah.
we need to cap this. And so that taught me, all along the way, I was learning valuable skills, how to market myself, how to do the pricing strategy. What I learned very quickly with that example is 30% revenue share is too much. Okay. It's worrisome to them. It's too big of an expense, commission wise. Even if I'm making them money, still 30%, that's a lot, of your gross. So if I went between 10 and 20%, I realized that that's not going to annoy them or concern them, and they just keep paying me. So a lot of my, subject matter experts, I have revenue share deals between 10 and 20%. So I generate all this revenue for them, and then I make that. And some months are massive. You got months like Black or November, where I used to work retail, work myself into the ground, a lot of hours, no extra pay. Now I can just do these amazing promos for all of my clients 2 different times of the year. So there's Black Friday through Cyber Monday, and there's also a mid-year sale that I've implemented. I'm giving some pro tips away here. Like, a mid-year promo is awesome because there's not as much competition, and you can build it up the same way you would build up Black Friday through Cyber Monday. And you'll have, these clients of mine, they'll make a lot of money. We're talking 6, 7 figure weeks where they are just selling the mess out of everything because we've been building their list out over time. And then it's very good to get the revenue share off of those
Yeah, I
promos.
would say so. Yeah, like that's like 10%, guys. Like, I don't know if y'all are keeping up, but like basically, he has found the ultimate way to close deals for these subject matter experts that sell their education online, and maybe some coaching that goes with it. There's probably different specifics and levels to then make more revenue, and he gets a slice of that, but doesn't break the business. He literally gets paid directly of how much value he's giving to that business, and that's like the main thing that I need to understand. If I was working in retail, how in the world is he making my freaking annual salary in a month? Well, it's the value. How much exactly are you giving to that business? Everyone can be replaceable, but I tell you what, the more value and the more you're giving, the more sticky you will be. And that's what Evan's doing here. So, like, I remember I was telling my wife, Courtney, I was like, I remember being so scared to ask for someone for even $1,500 or even $1,000. And I remember making my very first sale online. And I was like, dude, my life has changed. This thing is real, right? It's one thing to see, like, say, hey, I do X, Y, and Z, but guys, like, a really cool award that people get for being really good at what they do in this business sometimes is, if you look behind Mr. Evan here, he hasn't brought it up just yet, but I'm going to bring it up. He has 3 7 figure awards from this company called ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels is a company, a tool that helps people build these funnels we were talking about earlier. And basically he used that tool and was able to prove to that company that he was able to help these businesses reach this amount of revenue. Like, what companies are behind you right there? Like those, because that's three of them, right?
Yeah,
And
we
what does that
got
look like?
yeah, some of my clients, we got live traders, market moves. I had another one, the traveling trader, that he was. I'm like, hey, this was just this past week. I'm like, hey, we just, we hit another 7-figure mark. He's like, do you want to get one of these, awards? He's like, I can fill all the stuff out if you want. He's like, nah. He's like, I'm good. Like, at a certain point, the awards are fun, but
Doesn't
like you got so much wall space, right? So, but they are fun. And I'll tell you this, I joke about it now, and I'm downplaying a little bit. I really wanted those awards. I wanted one of these things. When I started off doing this digital marketing, I would see these people with these awards, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like $1 million? Like, man, like $1 million. Like, you made $1 million online, like selling a product or a course or a service. I was like, you generate enough revenue to get $1 million award. And then there's levels to this thing. Every game has a level up system, right? There's people with, you and I both know marketers that have the $10 million awards for one particular client. We know people that have the $100 million awards, right? Like, it's wild, the different levels of this game. And what I've learned, where I have now come to grips with, is the goalpost always moves. And I'll probably end on this. When you have goals, when you start something new, like helping subject matter experts generate X number of sales and X amount of revenue, you'll have a goal. Once you hit that goal, you realize, okay, shoot, I thought I would be happy or successful, or I thought I would make it when I hit that goal. But the goalpost is always moving. You never actually get there. If you can learn how to enjoy the game, that's life. Like, that's how you win at life. Enjoying the process to get to success, knowing that you'll never get there. When you realize that, you're like, oh, that's actually freeing to me. That's freedom. It's being able to enjoy what you do. The money's just a side factor. Like, the money's going to come when you enjoy what you do and you're good at what you do, and you're in a industry where there's unlimited amount of money. The money's going to come. Enjoying what you do is more important in my head than the money. At the beginning, yeah, the money's important because you got to have your bills taken care of. You want to get out of debt, all that kind of stuff. But once that happens, I'll be transparent with you. About 2 years in, I'm like, man, I was like, my only goal in doing this was to get financial and time freedom. Once I hit that, I'm like, is this it? Is this the meaning of life? Like, is there anything else?
My hands. Like, what's
Yeah,
next?
I don't know what to do with my hands now. Yeah, exactly. So I call it my big why. My big why wasn't big enough at the beginning. I didn't know it wasn't big enough until I got there. And I'm like, all right, well, now I need a bigger why. So now my big why, I'm so excited about this coming week because I'm taking my family on an overseas mission trip. That I have a whiteboard next to me. That's been my big why for years now. And we're finally getting to do it. The kids are old enough now. We're going for a full month. Like, that's a good initial mission trip for my family. And when we're on these mission trips, like, we're going to be speaking, we're going to be building things. I want to be able to build schools and churches and water wells and all sorts of stuff. And that's going to take unlimited resources for the rest of my life. So I still get excited to close deals. People are like, what do you, like, why are you still doing sales calls? I'm like, because I not only enjoy it, but I got a big why. Like, I'm never going to get to the end of the why. Like, there's always going to be places, just not to get too derailed here, but
You're good. You're good, man.
I spent almost a year of my life in Africa, East Africa. I loved it. And I've been to places that, oh my goodness, so primitive. No electricity, no running water, none of that stuff, right? They're still there. It's weird because in our Western society, people don't really see that side of the world.
They don't appreciate it. Yeah.
They don't appreciate it. There's full countries that are like that. Like, you'll never get to the end of being able to help. And we got help, we do stuff, with the local church here. There's need everywhere. And so resources are needed to meet needs. Can you pray for people? Absolutely, you can pray for people. But, praying for people and being able to feed them with actual food, like, those are two different things, and both of them are needed. So I want to be able to do both. And it keeps pushing me to learn. It keeps pushing me to continue to focus on those 3 pillars: mindset, skill set, tool set, to keep leveling up so that I can help more people.
Bro, guys, like, just in general, like, you're like one of the best human beings I freaking know, man. I love it. I love it. He's like,
Well,
dude, no, no,
let's
no,
not
but
get carried
still.
away. I'll bring my
Listen,
wife
listen,
down here.
dude. Listen,
She'll tell you my fault.
I will be real though, like on that front, like this is the TruYou Unfiltered podcast. Like, guys, like I went to this guy's house. I got to spend time with his family. Got to see him on different places where we were able to coach some people and jam out about marketing and all that jazz. But everything you're seeing on here, guys, all the way through and through. So a main reason why another reason why we wanted to have him on this podcast too is it's just like, again, like if you're looking for an opportunity to learn a new skill set to take yourself out of the position that you're currently in, I would definitely check out Subject Matter Expert Academy, because like you said, one, you have subject. I like what you said earlier, skill sets. It's not subject, but skill set, mindset, and tool set. And that's the trifecta to helping you build an overall, like, holistic life. I mean, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And you don't have to necessarily go on a mission trip for forever. But I mean, listen, like, if you're struggling to be, present with your family because of work, this is a potential solution to where you can sacrifice now to enjoy later. And it's kind of like what Evan had to do, So is there like I guess I'm just kind of feeling a natural end here, but like, is there like a key message you want to give to our audience, and just kind of go from there?
When something's right, it doesn't feel forced. I'm just thinking about that. People might be in retail right now listening to this and they're like, oh man, I got to do this. Well, if they're feeling that, there's probably a reason they're feeling that pull to something else. Other people, they're probably not even listening to this, right? Like, there's a reason for everything. I don't really believe in coincidences. I believe in, a God that directs our paths, and if we're smart enough, I guess, to listen, we can just feel where we're supposed to go. And if you continually are going towards that, he's there to help you with it. He's there to continue to guide yourself. When you start doing things that feel forced, or things that you shouldn't be doing, like down past you never should have been down, that's when life's hard, right? And nobody wants a hard life. I'll say this. We want a simple life, but it's never going to be easy. There's a difference there. Simple is not easy. When you learn the mindset, the skill set, and the tool set, things start to become simple for you. It becomes effortless. Is it easy? Heck no. It is not easy. When you start any new venture, you're going to have to put the work in. This was not an overnight success. I had prepared myself for months with small business clients in order to be able to even fathom taking on that first subject matter expert, the stock traders, right? I had learned the skills. My mindset was strong. I learned the tools. Then I was able to level up and go to that next level. Then I've been able to do, lots of different things since then. Being on podcasts like this, being able to talk about what I do. Remember, just 6 short years ago, I was working retail. Didn't know any of this stuff, right? In 6 years, good grief. Look at what you can accomplish in a relatively short amount of time. When our lifespan was average length of life now, 75 years or something.
Yeah.
What's 5 to 10 years is not, in the grand scheme of things, it's a drop in the bucket, right? You can completely change the trajectory of your life. So, 2 things is, if it, I don't want to say if it feels right, do it. Like, that could get you into trouble, but you know what I'm talking about. And then the other thing too is you got to take risks. In life, you got one life. You got to take risks. Sometimes you have to leap before you look. You might fall in a bad spot sometimes, but man, the people that don't ever, and this is a sad thought, if you never make it to your full potential, it's because you never took big enough risks. And you hear this a lot of times. You get on your deathbed, what are you regretting? You're not regretting that you didn't work harder or longer hours, right? I'm so thankful that at a young-ish enough age, I was able to leave the grind of retail so that I can, right after this call, I'm going upstairs, going to hang out with my family for a while. I got a basement office here. It's great. But I'm able to do that now because I put in the work and I took a big risk in not that order. So the order was take a big risk, get into a first program that taught me how to do digital marketing. And after taking that big risk, making that investment, then I put in the work.
And there's always a solution to making it work. Like, there's going to be obstacles. That's kind of like what I'm feeling, man. It's just like you said multiple times on this call, we could take this multiple different directions.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, guys, like I love what he just said is like all the accomplishments and all the things, it did require work. If anyone's trying to sell you something that's like kind of like an overnight thing, that it's easy to do something extraordinary, chances are it's not the case. I mean, if you look at athletes that are very, good at what they do, if you look at, politicians even, there's a whole process to that as well. I mean, but overall, businessmen, etc., it's always, it looks like an overnight success because you're just now seeing them, but you never saw all the struggles they did go through. And it's very, very important that you get around people that are trying to do, that have done the same things that you're trying to do. Because you're never alone, guys. So, Evan, brother man, you absolutely smashed it. Guys, I'll be sure to put some links to find him on LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and all the things. That way you can get in contact with him. And you can learn more about Subject Matter Expert Academy, or heck, how his mission trip's coming along. So, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.